You know, I think it's a shame that people talk about ideology as if it were a dirty word. I think it's inevitable and really meaningful and important that we talk about the social and political dimensions of beliefs and the articulation of ideas in a way that's aspirational in forming movements for social change. And that is the realm of ideology. You can try to change the nomenclature, but inevitably we're going to talk about ideology. Some people watching this may not be old enough to remember what it was like in the sort of 1990s heyday of kind of phony cynicism that was referred to as postmodernism. But there was a period of time when people would say to you straight to your face, oh, how can you associate your name with any ideology? Any concept that ends with ISM is just terrible and evil. Anything that ends with ism, and you know, the shame is some of my favorite things in life end with ism. But you know, joking aside, it's a sad, desperate state of affairs when people want to pretend that, you know, we're not talking about ideology when we are. My feeling coming out of the 1990s, because I'm old enough to remember, was that, you know, political ideology had become the equivalent of the disposable plastic bag. Everybody uses them, but you've got to keep up the appearance among the cognoscenti that you never used them. I mean, you know, like when your friends come over, you can't have disposable plastic bags in view. If people are going to see you shopping, you've got to have reusable bags with you. But we're all in denial about the, you know, fact that modern life involves plastic bags, right? Great comparison, huh? Where was I going with this again? Right, ideology. I sympathize with debates I see going on right now that are trying to expand atheism from being a single issue cause to being an ideology. And I don't mean ideology in a bad sense at all. I mean it in a value neutral sense. A really good comparison would be in the 1980s that I can't remember as well. In the 1980s, there were all kinds of anti-nuclear movements that started off as a single issue cause. Said, okay, we're opposed to the nuclear bomb. Maybe they're opposed to nuclear power plants. Let's try to gather together the people who have this one issue in common and then expand this into a meaningful social movement. You try to have a picnic with a whole bunch of people who are anti-nuclear. You find out what you have in common. You find out what you don't have in common. And yeah, you get into articulating an ideology, trying to find common ground. People become vegetarian. One of the first experiences is the sense of disappointment that you have nothing in common with the other vegetarians you meet. Because as soon as you become vegetarian, you know what your own motives are. And then what you learn is other people have become vegetarian for different motives that are totally incompatible with your set of motives that you may feel very alienated from other vegetarians. So what's the line of reason, the line of question that leads you to? It leads you to question, what is the ideology of vegetarianism? What are the ideologies, plural, that connect people with vegetarianism? And there's a similar questioning that naturally goes on with atheism in the 21st century, partly because atheism has expanded as a discourse, it has been successful, it has had best-selling books and you know, popular voices advocating for it. It's become a leading, notable part of public discourse, which it wasn't 50 years ago, shall we say. So where do we go from here? It's interesting, and I sympathize with people like TJ, the Amazing Atheist, and Jacqueline Glenn, another YouTube vlogger on atheism, who both, within the same month, were treated to a position of trying to very narrowly define atheism and of pointing out that they themselves technically identify as agnostic. You can see their discussions, their videos as to why they say that. I sympathize, but I feel that they're moving in the wrong direction, because the real challenge for atheism is to move forward and to say, no, this isn't just something that's challenging one issue, one idea, one problem. This isn't just about problematizing God, but you want to find the common ground with the other people who show up at that picnic, and you want to build something positive, and that inevitably involves ideology. To speak very quickly in what I hope is going to be a short video, what is that ideology in one word? I think if we're honest with ourselves, it's the ideology of nihilism. Talk about words that people don't want to use in a positive way. Nihilism has a lot of negative connotations. But what that would really mean, in contrast to atheism, narrowly defined, is that we're shifting the focus away from negating theology, and we're engaging in a broader questioning of the basis of belief and the basis of values. And I think inevitably, that's where atheism's got to go.